Hey Breakfast Club, Nathan, Brendan, Masters coming at you with that old dystopian future madness. Ooh.
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Hey guys, Nathan, Brendan, Masters, Breakfast Club Wednesdays. This is a great topic. I've done this video quite a few times. I just need to get this thing right in my head because when it comes out kind of in a crazy manner. So let me jump right into it. As a writer and sci-fi lover as well as a theist, the idea of a dystopian society is not something foreign to me at all. And I think I want to address Kizzume's one of the points Kizzume made in the original video that inspired this, and that is the point he made about automation. I think automation leads to different jobs. So yes, you will probably eradicate some jobs. I don't know if you would completely eradicate those jobs. They're not going to be as plentiful, but there's always going to be somebody that needs to come in and watch over that automation. So you're going to have two things that are going to happen. And we see this here on YouTube. You're going to have people who either come in and have to watch over and fix that automation, or you're going to have the problems with that automation ignored, which both of happens here on YouTube. I mean, you can just look at YouTube to see how well automation works when left alone. The YouTube algorithm is automated, and it's known for just not working well. So we can see that automation by itself is not a good thing. So Sister Danger had a few points that were quite interesting as well, particularly when she starts talking about eugenics and that type of thing. And that hit me because in my comic books, I actually have a company called Frankenstein Industries. They are what became of Dr. Frankenstein's research. In the comic book, they do this type of experimentation. So will our morality change when dealing with that type of thing? You know, the idea of playing God, if I may use that phrasing, not only comes from theistic views. Lord John Acton's quote, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think that would apply here, and I think that's the feeling that most people have about government and corporations. Another quote that comes to mind is from Dr. Ron Paul, which is government is not altruistic, and corporations obviously are not altruistic either. Everybody's doing things for their own purposes. So if you're going to deal with people at a genetic level, that's going to happen through either government or the corporations, or through both, obviously. So the question is, what are their intentions? If we actually get to a point where we can modify people to be predisposed to a certain type of job, could we modify people to be predisposed to a certain type of thought process? We literally would be at a point where we are basically making human beings to facilitate us. I don't think in any way, shape, or form that would be moral. And I don't think people's morality I don't think it would change if you start promoting that. And maybe in a few generations, people start thinking that way. I think one thing that will always be an issue is the idea of human potential. If I work hard enough, or I do XYZ set of things, I can go from here to here. This idea that you are putting people in a particular box and they're no longer allowed to go higher. And I know that there are countries and social ideologies that actually do that, but it's not at a genetic level. And one of the ways to do that is making sure that people have a limited amount of education, as well as shutting them off from other things that may influence them in the outside world. So that is a limiting factor. And if you're doing that at a genetic level, you are actually limiting people. Now, if you were to talk about just eliminating disease and things of that nature, I would be all for that. So if nothing else, you would be, physically able. You would at least start from that point where you're physically able and healthy. But even there, we can get into some questions as to who would be running the program, the eugenics and things of that nature. There's obviously some questions as to what people consider disease or consider sickness. There would obviously have to be some type of oversight, and of course that oversight will change depending on who's in power. When you start talking about things like growing meat and things of that nature, it's a little horror filmish, sci-fi horror filmish. People will always assume that there's something weird to that, that thing not being particularly natural, the things being grown in a lab. And again, going back to distrust of corporations and things, if you start telling people, yeah, this meat is going to be grown in a lab, people are going to be kind of shy away from it because they're going to be afraid of it. You have a lot of people who believe that the government wants depopulation. I'm kind of one of those people who are kind of iffy on whether they do or not. It wouldn't be shocking to me. A smaller population is easier to control, obviously, and they're of less threat to the actual government. Going on to Got That Funk's video, and he talked about, I guess all of them kind of talked about a paradigm shift and what it would take to create that paradigm shift. I think it would take, obviously, something global, not just something that happens in one country or one city or something, but something global, or that actually is a global threat, to make people decide we're all going to get together to do this particular thing. And in the end, the thing that they would get together to do would be stop that particular threat. Again, because we tend to mistrust the government and corporations, and now, of course, the media, we would even distrust the reporting on said event. We would question why this event is happening, the timing of said event, what government may want us to do because of this event. We would have all these questions. So it would be hard to have anything now that would make people get together and cooperate in a manner that would be beneficial. We can't even agree on basic things such as everybody having equal rights. There are people who are literally actually offended at the idea of people having equal rights, because the assumption is that if this person has rights, then what will happen to me? Which, if done correctly, nothing will happen to you. It's just another person will have the ability to be where you are. People are not only afraid, but they're also uneducated. So those are kind of my takes on it, on those particular points. When you start talking about just dystopian society as a whole, possible morality changes, how people will think. I don't actually think that you're going to get a ton of morality changes. Morality isn't just theistic. Many times it's also protective. Got That Funk talks about what it took to get to the point where everybody would join in with the welfare state, or the idea of the welfare state. It did take a lot of people to be out of work, mass poverty, and things of that nature. I'm not necessarily sure that was a change in morality as much as something that just needed to be done. The question as to what would be moral versus what needs to be done, I think those are two different questions, because I think there are people even now who may steal. They may steal, or they may kill, or they may prostitute themselves, or things of that nature. And those people may still believe those things to be immoral, but think they would be things that need to be done to accomplish whatever task needs to be accomplished. When you talk about, and also when you talk about a paradigm shift, the question is, are you talking about just a generic paradigm shift where people overall see things differently? Or are you talking about a paradigm shift where people are just saying, okay, because of these particular things that are going on now, we will have to operate this way simply because we need to save ourselves, which is generally how you make things you make changes, people understanding that we have to save ourselves. The problem is, obviously, once people have saved themselves, everybody goes back to their own individualistic ideas. So I hope that made sense. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments. All right, guys, that's it for me. Bionic Dance is up tomorrow. If you get a chance, check out my trailer for Crisis Function Awakening. And you guys take it easy.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason